All right, guys. So the task was to pick up some skill that we think is important for our personal growth and will support the collective growth, right? And will have the effect of this, whatever we pick, will affect the future, like that we want to live in. Is that correct way to
Yes.
word it, Martin? Or maybe you can give your wording to
Yeah,
this.
that's perfect. Well, the assignment was, um, you know, maybe pull on some value that's important to you, creating your ideal future. Like, what is a good skill that you need to get to that ideal future? So for
Mm-hmm.
you, embracing discomfort for growth is an important skill in order to do that. And you're going to talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to calibrate a little bit the modality of it. But yeah, we're definitely on the same page. So what I picked up is something that is very relevant in my life right now. So this is something that I'm dealing with, and therefore, I can see this like this situation and how it affects me in many ways. So what I picked up is the skill or ability to embrace discomfort and sit with uncomfortable feelings. I believe that this skill is essential for everyone to move forward, to really grow, and I will talk a little bit about why I think so, and also I will share the algorithm of how we can do that better, how we can support ourselves. And I will start with this quote: "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." I really love this quote, and it is applicable to very many situations in life. And I think when it comes to dealing with uncomfortable feelings and emotions, we're going to talk more about what they are and how we experience them. Well, the reason why we avoid them is the fear. Like we have this fear inside to stay alone with it, to look it into the eyes. We have the fear of really seeing what's beneath it, and the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
That's beautiful.
Um, Growth through discomfort, embracing uncomfortable feelings. Um, yeah, this is like a brief contents of what I'm going to talk about. Um, what is essential is for us to always remember that growth by itself is uncomfortable. Growth is stepping out of comfort zone. Growth is trying new things, trying things that we never did before. Growth is like, for me, it's like when we grow, let's say we grow the like we grow out of a shell, we break through the shell that was our normality like a year ago, and obviously it is uncomfortable. So I think the general concept, like about all, is that it is essential for us to getting comfortable with feeling discomfort, and um, not making it a villain, but rather our ally on our path. And it is very important shift of perception when we see discomfort and going through some painful, uncomfortable experience as parts of a sacred process of becoming. And when we praise our pain, when we praise our uncomfortable feelings, and we look into them, and that's when we receive the gift that they have. And it is linked to collective transformation, like as anything in our personal development and transformation is linked to collective transformation, because we are all one. We are part of a bigger system, and our frequency, our experience, the choices that we make, they affect the field, they affect the humanity. So, by growing and expanding self awareness and capacity, we are uh, we are contributing to the growth and development of the humanity. And yeah, so we tend to avoid uncomfortable feelings. And I want to engage with you just a little bit. I want you to like take a second and maybe remember about the last moment you felt uncomfortable and you tried to avoid this feeling. You tried to like not look into it. Like we have many of different mechanisms that that we support ourselves with while dealing with something uncomfortable. So, or maybe you know already about yourself that this is my way, this is my scenario. Like I do that when I feel uncomfortable, when something uncomfortable rises in me. This is what I do.
Yeah,
So
for me, it's I'm trying to grow my business, and that's very uncomfortable in many ways. It's putting myself out there and trying to create things and express myself, and that's the hard part. So my go-to avoidance is using cannabis and watching TV, just turning off my brain and relaxing and not
yeah.
worrying about that, not thinking about that, and hoping that everything will
Mm-hmm.
be okay. But it's so funny because you can't grow unless you leave your comfort zone, like you said. So we want that desired reality, and we have to journey into that cave sometimes, even though it's dark and
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
So your go-to thing is cannabis and TV.
Yeah, and like probably eating sweets. I've noticed that I
I
I
can
enjoy
totally
doing that.
relate to all of those
Yeah.
things.
Me too. I'm just not smoking cannabis that much, but like cartoons, I like to watch cartoons or eat sweets,
Mm-hmm.
smoking. It's
Yeah.
all the same.
It's like
Yeah,
a simpler
yeah.
time when we were kids, and we didn't have so much responsibility and we could just play all day and yeah.
Oh, yes.
All right, thank you for sharing. And there are indeed many ways to avoid an uncomfortable feeling, and we adopt some of them, some from our childhood, some we even inherit from our parents, some we discover when we're adults already, and some mechanisms become compensatory mechanisms when we're like, okay, I'm not smoking now. How about masturbation?
Mm.
And it is completely fine that we have that. We're humans. What is important is to be aware of that and and move on, move through this. So, common avoidance behaviors are doom scrolling, masturbation, smoking, drinking, overworking, and distracting yourself with media. And we already mentioned, like you already mentioned, that you're familiar with some of those. I only wanted to emphasize one very important avoidance strategy. It is intellectualizing our emotions or intellectualizing our feelings. It is when, and it is like specifically applicable to people who are already like deep in psychotherapy, psychology, psychoanalysis, people that uh, are or think that they are pretty self-aware. And I'm saying that because I'm like that and I tend to do that. uh, we tend to intellectualize something, explain it mentally instead of feeling it,
Mm.
right? So like I feel shame, and instead of like facing that and being with that, I'm starting like, so like someone is asking me like, what are you feeling? And I start to explain that, oh, so in my childhood this was a trigger, this is a trauma response, this is that, this is that. I have such a beautiful logical explanation for the reasons why I feel what I feel. I can give this an anatomy of like the feeling, but not feeling it. And yeah, and I just wanted to emphasize this, that thinking about your feeling, intellectualizing it, explaining it, is an avoidance strategy as well. And yeah, we should be just aware of it and not let it substitute the actual working with the feeling, like feeling the feeling.
Yeah, it's so true. Like sometimes you say, "How are you feeling about something?" And instead of like saying the actual feeling, people go into this story. Like, I feel like sometimes when I say this, this is the thing that happens. But it's like, that's not what you're feeling. That's what your brain is thinking. What are you actually feeling in your body? Go to that
Yeah.
emotion.
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly, exactly. We make stories. Our brain lives off stories because stories are sequential, they are logical, and they are very safe. It is very safe to tell the story that explains everything. It gives us the sensation of being in control. If I can explain that I'm in control, then I'm stronger than that. And yet the feeling remains there, unseen, unfelt, abandoned, and yeah, and what what do you think, by the way, like what would be your like immediate response of what happens if we do not feel the feeling? Like, what happens when you tell a beautiful story about like the roots of the like this reaction of yours and why you feel that way, but like don't feel the feeling? What happens?
Well, there's repression and suppression, and then maybe eventually apathy, where you don't feel anything and you're just numb. And then everything feels bad because you can't feel anything.
Well, yeah, or it could be another way if you was repressing feelings a lot, and then at one moment you will just explode, and you will not, you will start to think like why it happened, and you will not find the reason. You will be just on the edge and emotionally and physically exhausted.
Yes, yes. You might also feel very disconnected from yourself, really.
Mm-hmm.
Disconnected because we also feel through our body. So, not really feeling something is numbing the body and numbing the connection. And here goes another quote that I love is that what you resist persists. Can you relate to that?
Totally.
Yes, yes, yes. There is no way we are not going to deal with certain aspect of our reality or our personality of our soul. The only question is when we will do it. Now, when it is triggered and it is alive and it has energy, or you numb it down and then a few cycles later, be it a month, a year, 10 years, you find yourself exactly at the same place, most probably more scared, like more scarred, like more exhausted, having to deal with exactly the same thing. Because there is no way we're tricking this system, right? There is no way we are cheating, like on the growth, right? So the question is when. Are you going to deal with it now or later? And
Yeah, that's an important
yes.
principle. I just want to say is that like we're here to learn our lessons, and if you don't, it's going to keep showing itself as a pattern, and it's going to continue to repeat itself until you learn that lesson and move on. And some people believe in reincarnation, so if you don't learn in this lifetime, then you just do it in the next lifetime. That's what you're here for, is to learn these lessons. And like you said, it's just a matter of time. It's either now or the next lifetime.
Yeah, or next week,
Yeah.
depending on the intensity of your experience. But you're not gonna skip it. You're not gonna skip it to really move on to the next level of your experience. So now that we talked about that there is really no way to actually avoid it, the feeling, like eventually you will need to meet it if you want to move through, and if you don't do it, like it makes you feel bad, it leads to disconnection, it leads to numbing yourself and not really expanding your self-awareness. Let's talk a little bit about shifting the perspective on the feelings. um, in my in my personal system of beliefs and also in many philosophical concepts, feelings and emotions are invitations for us to know ourselves better. When we're triggered, it is our body and our soul sending us the invitation to look into the part of itself, the part of ourselves that were and still are in shadow, but they are reactive to certain things. So when we have the trigger, like we follow it, we invite, we embrace it, and we get access, like we bring into the light of our consciousness parts of us that were resting in subconscious for many reasons. We are growing, we are raising our capacity, and that's normal, that the more capacity to actually process and learn and embody different experiences we have, the more things will occur that before, like a year ago or 10 years ago, you were not capable to deal with this part of your experience. Maybe it was traumatic, maybe there are some other reasons, but if it comes to surface right now, if you feel triggered, trust it. You should trust it, because now you are actually ready to deal with it. And the big thing for me here is trust in yourself and the divine. You're not encountering anything that you're not capable to deal with. So embracing emotions as gifts and invitations, facing uncomfortable feelings allows you to explore shadow parts of yourself. Again, we're talking about shadow, we're going about subconscious parts that were, at some moments, we either learned that this is bad or this is good, or we expressed ourselves in certain way and we were punished for it. So there are parts of us that are being pushed into the shadow of our subconscious, because at that moment it was very dangerous to have them, to be in contact with them. So when we're triggered, we kind of like, it's like with a fisher's stick, we catch on something that is deep inside there. And like the question is, like, if we avoid it, we're trying to like let go of it. If we're going into it and feeling it, it's us actually pulling up and embracing it and saying, okay, my friend, what are you here to tell me? What is it all about? And again, by embracing different parts of ourselves and expanding this self-awareness, we contribute to the collective. We, first of all, we understand other people better, and that immediately leads to less conflicts, less confrontations, less ego play, where people fight because of shadow parts, their shadow parts fight, not less so their unaware parts fight. And yeah, and the more self-aware you become, the better equipped you are to help others. And another beautiful quote. You see why I was 5 minutes late? I was looking for quotes for my presentation. You cannot heal what you don't feel. This is a very important message to me. Like, in order to heal something, you need to first see it. See it for what it is. See it exactly as it is. Not the way we want, our brain wants to explain, give you the story of how it appeared. Not the way, again, like we might want to put some, like infuse some heroic significance into some things because it makes us feel better, like as a, the survival complex of like, yeah, I overcame. No, just feeling it for what it is, seeing it for what it is, and then we open the possibility of healing that part. Yeah, if we avoid our feelings, we actually reach this short-term relief from avoidance, right? So like, I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling like I'm not acting on my passion, I'm not creating something that I truly believe in. I feel so uncomfortable. I, like, by the way, my way to like my go-to mechanism to doom scroll is to doom scroll. Like, I immediately just take my phone, like open Instagram, and there you go, reels like cheap dopamine spikes. And at that moment, I immediately feel better. I'm just like, oh my God, I don't, amazing. I don't have to be anxious anymore. So great. But long term, it leads to stagnation, it leads to depression, it leads to basically, it is self abandonment. And so, yeah, the cost is very high. Um, and on the collective level as well, you can see it on societal level when people avoid certain topics, uncomfortable topics, right? They just keep on playing games. They keep on engaging with the same scenarios, like launching the same sort of wars and stuff. So going into what's vulnerable and painful is so important on so many levels. And real transformation only happens when we face discomfort. How about another quote? In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step back into safety. The problem is that when we step back into safety, we invest into depression, we invest into basically like dying, because uh, when we do not really evolve, our very essence suffers. Our very nature, it just starts to die off. And that's where depression comes. And that's where complete apathy comes. Because you abandon parts of yourself. You're not going into discomfort. So it's not like like the equal options. It's like or for me, at least. And I want to share the algorithm of what it is. Like I've been talking about like how important it is to feel the feeling, not avoiding it. We've talked about the mechanisms that we, like avoidance mechanisms. We've talked about why it is important to not engage with those. And I want to share the algorithm that I made for you. It is based on my personal experience. It's based on techniques that I was learning and practicing as a facilitator. So it's like a fusion of things. You might want to add something to it, and it's open, and we can also talk about it, because everything is like very very flexible and changing, and each of us can enrich any algorithm. It's not a fixed thing. It's just my take on how we can approach this task of how to feel the feelings. And so this is the beginning, and this is the end. I will go step by step. First of all, recognize that the uncomfortable feeling is present. Okay, I'm uncomfortable. I want to start doom scrolling. Okay, what's happening? It is happening. I'm acknowledging it. Then notice avoidance. That actually is a great, like when we are aware of our mechanism of how we avoid things, uncomfortable feelings, that can be for us, because sometimes it's like to get aware that you're uncomfortable. It's not so, because it's automatic. We automatically just like start doing whatever we're doing. So sometimes the avoidance mechanism can be the hint of, okay, I'm doing that. What am I feeling uncomfortable? So those two steps, they kind of support each other. Then the next step is to normalize. Understand that it is normal to feel discomfort, and also it's normal to try to avoid it. We're humans, okay? So not like rushing into like, oh, I'm doing it again, and no, like, oh, cool, I caught this part. This is happening. Interesting. Okay. And then we sit with it. And when I say sit with it, I mean quite literally. You sit down, you, if you want, you close your eyes. It's easier to go inward with your eyes closed. So you close your eyes and you connect with your bodily sensations. and you really, really, really sit with this discomfort that is maybe still unidentified, the nature of it, like what it is, but you just sit with whatever is. And then you name it. What is it? Is it anger? Is it anxiety? Is it shame? Is it fear? The more accurate we can play with it, right? Like also it is shame, but maybe there is, there is this wheel of like emotions that are more accurate, and it is very helpful to actually track the most accurate, like what to find the most accurate word for your emotion. It also increasing your emotional intellect, right? AQ. But important not to fall into intellectualization, because like this wheel of emotions and everything, it's a perfect getaway with like, like, oh, I'm gonna track exactly what I'm feeling, and then your brain starts to like go through that. And no, the goal is to feel the feeling, and we're naming it. Then what is important for me is located in your body. The more you do this practice, the more you understand, and it also becomes helpful to you identify that certain emotions, certain feelings are located. For example, anger, you might notice, not necessarily, I'm not programming you, but like with me it works like that. When it's anger, I usually feel it here, right? When it's shame, I feel it in my stomach, and so on and so on. Like each person is very, very unique, right? But also being connected with your body and investing into acknowledging where you feel it in your body brings more connection. So you can also recognize some feeling on a bodily level, not necessarily going through the full circle of like, okay, I'm uncomfortable, I need to avoid that, I need to name it. Maybe you will like immediately start, okay, the anger is raising, I feel like some hot sensation here. So we located it in your body, and then ask its purpose. I like to do it with my method, like doing the body mapping, drawing it, and then like, and I also I put this here, externalize. So this three parts here, they are kind of, they can go as one, and you can flip them. For example, you are not ready to express gratitude just yet because you're still discovering it. So start with maybe externalizing it. Like for me, I would actually even change it like this. I would do like this. I would draw it, or journal, like write it down, or move with it to express it from, so it like from internal experience it becomes external. You externalize it, and then you can ask its purpose. Connect with this feeling and ask, what gift are you bringing me? What are you showing me? Right? It's important not to make it mental exercise again, but really like go with this connection and this subconscious wisdom that it's bringing up. And then, very important is to express gratitude. Thank the feeling for revealing healing parts of yourself. It is a real game changer when you interact with aspects of yourself, or even or your emotions or your feelings, as separate entities that are there doing something for you. So expressing gratitude is not just like saying, oh, thank you. It's not just, it shouldn't be like a prayer that you learned. It should come from your heart, like deeply, compassionately connecting to it and say like, thank you for wanting to protect me from things that in the past would cost me life. I feel your love. Because behind every manifestation of every aspect of yours, there is deep, deep love and care for you. So expressing the gratitude, seeing that love beneath fear, seeing that love for yourself beneath shame, because shame is an ancestral feeling, emotion that like encrypted in us. It's like when we feel shame, shame is a fear of being excluded, of being unaccepted in a society, in a tribe. And if you are not accepted, if you're thrown away, you die, right? It's a no joke thing. Like if when you feel shame, your body like is screaming. It's like you might die. So don't do that what you want to do because like you're gonna die. How much love it carries in itself, like of protection, right? So it is a very, very important part to me personally, expressing gratitude. And then sit with it longer. Notice how this feeling transforms from you just being with it. It's really it's funny. It's even funny how we think that we need to go through some battle with a dragon, with a feeling, when all we need to do is to not look away. Sit with it, give it time, space, feel it, express gratitude for it. And then, in my experience, first of all, you start realizing that this feeling, whatever it is, and no matter how strong it is smaller than you. It's in your body. Even your body is bigger than it. And you're bigger than your body, you know that. And from that moment on, you just follow the transformation that is happening. And I intentionally do not put some other ways, some like, some coaching techniques and everything, how to further integrate and work through and blah, 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 the feeling, because today's topic is how to feel the feeling. You maybe noticed how your own mind now jumped into, okay, what next? Like, I sit with it. What next? What do I do? You do nothing. You do nothing. You do nada.
Nada.
Nada. You sit with it and you feel it. And remind yourself that this too shall pass. It is a very, for me, was a very powerful visualization when I read about it, and I actually visualized how every feeling, every emotion is like a stream, it's like a water that is going through us, it's flowing. And like and it will flow away as well. Like you will, it's better to say you will flow through it, right? It's no matter how hard it is, you already have a lot of experience to know for a fact that nothing lasts, for better or for worse, nothing lasts. So if the emotion or feeling is very intense and it's hard to be with it, this mantra of like this too shall pass, this too shall pass, is very helpful. So this is the algorithm I wanted to present to you, and maybe you have some question or a feedback on this algorithm specifically. It's almost the end of the presentation. I think I have one more slide, but I would want to stop on this one and really hear you. Maybe you want to add on something to the algorithm again, it's very welcome.
I think it's beautiful. Thank you so much for putting this together. I mean, I think in our society, we've kind of normalized running away from things that are uncomfortable, avoiding it. And this is a reminder that, you know, you can spend your whole life trying to run away from it, but it's going to keep coming back. So isn't it better just face it full on, acknowledge it, give it space to do what it needs to inside your body, you know, identify it, acknowledge it, and then showing that gratitude, because it is trying to protect you in one way or another. We're not necessarily aware of how it's trying to protect us, but it's a defense mechanism. It's doing what it thinks it needs to do to save us. So showing that gratitude instead of being angry with it or frustrated or upset, I think goes a long way. So, and then I was gonna ask, how long is somebody going to do this exercise for? You know, is it like 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Like at what point, um, would you say is the length of giving this container, feeling it for as long as it is present? How long is an appropriate amount of time to feel? Are you guys still there? I think maybe it froze. Let's see.
Maybe eventually, like, if I would be like a master of my feelings, I would like, I don't know, add something else. But for now, it's just perfect.
Nice. Thank you so much for your feedback. Are you
Um,
back?
yes, I'm back. Did I disappear? Did you girls disappear? I'm not sure.
You just disconnected from the call.
I did. That's weird. Okay. Sorry about that. So I was asking, yeah, how long is an appropriate amount of time to sit with this emotion?
As long as it takes. It's your emotion and it wants to be felt. How long is appropriate is like a very rational mental question, you know,
Mm.
that tries to like measure, put in a frame.
Like 10 minutes, okay, it's enough.
And that is masculine energy that we need a lot in our lives and in our world. It is the energy that creates container within which the experience unfolds. So I respect that, right? Of course there is the certain conditions in which like you cannot, let's say, allow yourself to sit with something like more than, let's say, 2 hours because you have some other things. And well, then you're doing the closure for this part, and like you make self-commitment that like, okay, if there is still something to sit longer with, I will get back to it. So you do this commitment. But in my experience, the like it is a limited amount of emotion that is accessible for being felt at one moment of your life, because also your psyche is very self-preservational thing. Like it's not bringing up more than it's able to process. So there is also trust in that. And for me, just usually when I do that, it takes maybe an hour or two to really feel much better. But feeling much better not necessarily means that it's over. But when you feel this, you have the feeling of completion. You have a feeling that like you've seen it, you've been with it, and then you navigate from that point.
Awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like, you're not necessarily going to maybe feel relief, but you're going to feel like it's something has been processed, something has been completed. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely shouldn't seek the relief. The relief is a consequence of us doing the work, and it's not necessarily immediate, especially when we encounter feelings and aspects of ourselves that has been shadowed for years. Like, this is work, this is uncomfortable. It can take many iterations and a lot of integration after, which is another, also it is another topic of like integrating this newfound feelings and the lessons that they bring, the gifts that they bring.
I was thinking tapping could be a good way to maybe finish this exercise. The tapping is kind of like hitting those acupunctural energy sites to really rewire this new energy, this new capacity that we have.
Can be. Yes, tapping, moving with it, stretching, doing yoga, drawing, all those are ways to integrate again, right? What is integration essentially? is uh, integration is when we engage with life, holding on to the awareness of a new aspect of ourselves that just was brought up, right? So how does my body move with me already holding the gift of knowing whatever it is that the feeling brought? What is it that I want to draw after I saw what I saw in my pain, right? And tapping method is, I think it's like a redirection of also energy and stabilize. It's like more for stabilizing and like kind of, yeah, stabilizing the energetical channels in our body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I love the algorithm. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your feedback. And the last slide is something I already talked about, is how personal transformation leads to collective. First of all, we know that, like our frequency can affect it affects other people, right? So us raising our capacity, we're helping others. We start holding space for them, even unintentionally, for them to grow into it. And teams and communities that embrace discomfort foster innovation and deeper communication and mutual trust. And that is something that couldn't be emphasized more, how important it is in our modern society. And yeah, encouraging emotional growth in yourself strengthens not only your life, but the lives of those around you, families, teams, and communities. That's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's
Uh,
beautiful. I mean, I love the fact that it's reminding us that hey, by us healing ourselves, we're also healing other people. We're all growing together, and when we hurt, uh, we all hurt. You know, so when we heal, we all heal. So I love that tying that aspect into it.
Yeah, I also love the ripple effect. This is amazing. Thank you, Dasha, for this
Thank you.
interesting topic.
That was an amazing topic. Yeah, thank you for sharing. How do you feel having shared that topic?
I feel good. I feel that like retrospectively, I would want to start doing it earlier, because when you actually, because I was thinking a lot about what I want to bring, and I had a few options of like topics that are relevant to me, and they actually changed the last minute. What I picked on like was my last minute choice, because I had a few, so I was kind of working on them in my mind. And as I was going through the presentation, and then I just like 1 hour before, actually even 40 minutes before our call, I was like, okay, I'm ready now. I just need to put it down. Like I already have it all here. Now I just need to put it down to slides. I even used ChatGPT to like better restructure it. I just wrote it as a text and like asked it to, restructure it. But then when I was going through the slides, I realized how much I would add to it, or just change the structure if I just had it. Again, the power of externalization, right? When you have it outside, you can interact with it and it becomes your tool, it becomes your toy. When it's here, you don't see it. So there are things that I would add, there are things that I would not skip, but just like, rearrange in a way that is more cohesive, I think. But other than that, I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
really happy with this. At least I did it.
I love that topic. I wish we learned it in school as we are growing up. Like, what are feelings? How do you process feelings? How do you
Yeah,
sit
this
with
is a
feelings?
hundred
Because
percent.
otherwise, they will control you. If you don't control your feelings, they will control you. And it's not like we're trying to control our feelings. We're trying to express them healthy in ways to let them, exist without judgment, without guilt, without shame. We're trying to express the feelings because feelings are emotions, and emotions are energy, and energy is moving through the body. So how can we channel this energy to be conducive to the whole? So I think it's an amazing topic, and honestly, I'm impressed you're able to put that together in just 40 minutes because it touches on so many topics. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving this task and challenging us with this task, because like, you know, it feels like, oh well, it's kind of, yeah, I know how to do it, but when you actually do it and then you start to present it, and you realize how, like, this is an art to create a presentation and present it in the way that is engaging, interesting, not too slow, not too much, and you know, like, and being also connected to it, like inspirationally, not just like reading from the side. It's a whole different kind of game. It's not, you know, so it also, it's very good for practicing, especially for those like people like me who want to go out there and present things, present ideas, present techniques. It's very important to work on it. So it's also kind of like a, you know, a kindergarten, like a playground where we get to practice that. So I thank you for inviting me, like us, to this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely.